Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Welcome everybody to another edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen. Been kind of an MIA the last couple of games, I believe. Ran a very successful Buffalo Strong hockey tournament this past weekend. For all of you who came out and supported it, we ran a 2-day tournament at Buffalo River Works to help support the families that were affected by the Top Jefferson shooting. To give them some financial relief right before the holidays. And I tweeted out like a note, yesterday, how overwhelmed I am with the outpouring of support. 26 teams showed up for this thing. We are all there for one cause. The deputy mayor, Crystal Rodriguez Dabney, came in for the ceremonial puck drop. Local rock star Jessica Schreiber came in to sing the national anthem, and she actually tore the fucking roof off the place. And top to bottom, I didn't really know what to expect, because while I have run fundraisers in the past, I never actually ran anything to this scale or this magnitude. And I must say it was absolutely just mind-blowing to see how much you all came out and supported, both on, off the ice. And, hopefully here in a few days, or at least by Monday, we should have a general idea of how much money was raised, and, find a very tasteful way to present that to the families right before Christmas. So with that being said, we'll get into that a little later, and obviously a huge win tonight by the Buffalo Sabres. One thing I do want to address, though, before we do get to that, there's obviously the big elephant in the room revolving around the Jerry Sullivan comments late last night on Trainwreck Tonight, local podcast here in Buffalo, one of our sister shows with the Trainwreck Sports Network. And I just want to start off by saying, I personally didn't really have these comments really become, to light to me until like late this afternoon. I was trying to catch up on a lot of work with my full-time job that have kind of been, lacking a little bit since while running the tournament. I didn't really, I went made aware, but I was kind of not on social media. And when things came aware and I watched the video, I just want to say first and foremost that some of the most insightful people I know in sports are women. Just to shout out a few: Kristen Kimmick with the Bills Mafia Babes, and Leslie. Like, Kirsten is one of the most insightful, most passionate fans, I've ever met. And while we don't talk much about hockey, you get that girl going about the Bills. And, there aren't many people out there that know as much about football as Kristen does about the Buffalo Bills. And that can be said, about a lot of women that I know, just, in and around hockey and sports. Jill, Sabres Ice Bunny, people, we see her all over Twitter. Little snappy Victoria with the Bills, very passionate, very insightful, great follows on social media, and people that, Melissa Burgess, she, writes about hockey, big advocate for, what's going on, bringing the truth to light with what's going on with Hockey Canada. Back with the Kyle Beach story, everyone knows how passionate I am still to this day about that and the ongoings of Hockey Canada, and in her coverage of the Buttes. The list can go on and on and on. And what Jerry Sullivan said about women and, I forget his exact wording because honestly, I watched him one time. It's like, yeah, it's gross. Constructive journalism is, I think, how he pronounced it. Regardless, it isn't even worth like really breathing into existence again what he said. Going back to how I started this whole conversation with the women I do, interact often with in the world of sports. Melody Martin, another one of the most passionate Sabres fans you'll ever meet in this city. The YouTube channel, the songs, and her insight, on her YouTube channel when she was doing it. So insightful, just passion, second to none almost. And to hear somebody say like that, once was so respected in news writing, it takes a step back as a society of what we're trying to do, these hurdles we're trying to overcome. And it just sucks. It sucks to hear someone say that, and especially a guy that had and still has a platform of his size. And the listenership that he garners. Obviously, we remember 24 hours before that, his interaction with Josh Allen, and the attention that brought, regardless of whether you agreed with him or not. Personally, in the Josh Allen thing, I thought it was a valid question in terms of football terms about the offense, but that's neither here nor there. When he talks in some way, shape, or form, it does garner attention because he does have a platform. And when you use that platform in the way he did, and regardless, we're all entitled to our opinions. We all, that's what's great about this country. We're entitled to our opinions. But the thing is, you're not also sometimes not immune to the consequences of said opinions. In his opinion, in the opinion of many, including myself, was a trash opinion. And I unfortunately just think that he tried to walk it back, but at that point, there really was no walking it back. And Al and Maniac with Trainwreck Sports, obviously they did the best they could, given the fact that they were live, and for all like the hate that they're receiving, and I'm just kind of going out here on my own because I know both individuals. And Al, especially with the head nod thing, I'm not going to sit here and try and defend them. But if you watch that guy ever on any live broadcast, he does that a lot. If you watch me on my broadcast, I have like nervous leg syndrome. Like, you sometimes you'll see my screen shake because it's just a nervous tick of mine. It's just what I do. And you watch him, and I really do believe, like, in that moment with what was happening, it's hard to react live and know how to react. And we as people, 99% of us can sit there and say that we know how we would have reacted, that we know that we could sit there and say that we would have put an end to it. And we all would have loved to put an end to it. And I'm sure if they could go back, they would love to have put an end to it and not have this, kind of awkward apology, all these hours later. But at the same time, it's so difficult to know how to react sometimes in that situation when it's happening in the moment live in front of you. Unfortunately, the reaction wasn't what we all wanted. But for me, knowing those individuals, a week before that, they had Kristen from the Bills Mafia Babes on that exact same show, The Trainwreck Tonight, to talk about the Bills. A woman whose opinion is very respected in this community. And I respect it a lot. She helped me immensely with the Buffalo Strong charity hockey tournament. And, she put me in touch with some people that helped us raise a lot of money. And I to not drag this on too much longer, in the moment, you can always sit there and say, especially behind a live camera, that you knew what you would have done, but you really don't know what you would have done until you're put in that position. And it's tough, man. It really, really is. When you're on the spot right then and there, it's tough. And unfortunately, the reaction or the reaction to what Jerry said wasn't what we all wanted. But I hope that you all know that those two guys, those aren't the way they aren't in alignment with what Jerry Sullivan said in his disgusting comments, because, they are all about empowering women. Me too. Like I really am, ask any person that knows me. I am all about, moving the needle forward in society. That's what this past weekend was about, coming together as a community, and predominantly a sport for, it is predominantly, a rich white sport, hockey, and it's had its issues, or especially over the last year, with inclusiveness and diversity. And my goal wasn't just about the money, it was about the message, and to bring a community together in a sport like that, to show that these cowards who have a narrative of racism and hate and, and ignorance, that their message and their ignorance will not be accepted in this city. And judging by your reaction, that's, you guys share that same sentiment, that the ignorance of comments like that will not be accepted in this city. So, I mean, that's what this last weekend was all about, to send that message. And I hope going forward, we learn from Jerry's mistakes and continue to try and move that needle forward, and, move forward as a society, and, empower everybody, of no matter what your skin color is, what your gender is, how you identify. It shouldn't matter. It's 2022. We're all human beings. And that's my goal. That was my goal this past weekend. And that's my goal every day, is to just better myself as a human being, and just to move forward and do my best every single day to make a positive impact on people, because I am a giant philanthropist, and, I get a high off that stuff. I would rather give so much more than I would take. And, that's my ultimate goal in life. And I hope that we learn from Jerry's mistakes and just move forward with what happened, and not get past it, but learn from it and just continue on in society. Because it was wrong. And I immediately thought about people like Kristen, and Melody and Jill and all of them who, see stuff like that. And it's like, it's like a slap in the face, because you make these steps and you move forward as much as you can. And then some old dinosaur comes in and just makes you take steps backwards. So I hope that's not the case here. I hope that, we can move forward and just learn from the mistakes that were made on last night's episode of Trainwreck Tonight. And with that being said, I just love to move on to what, took place tonight. Not the best of transitions, but, this Buffalo Sabres won 6-0 tonight. Took a while to get them going. Took 2 full periods. But, they absolutely, when push came to shove and had to answer the bell, starting with an a great face-off win in the offensive zone, to Tage Thompson in the slot. He buried it past the LA goaltender. I can't even remember his name. Obviously, Cal Peterson was placed on waivers earlier this season. It wasn't Jonathan Quick. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you his name. Maybe somebody in the peanut gallery can refresh my memory. But look at Tage and the season he's having so far, and these big moments he continuously shows up in. And for me, it's just like, it's mind blowing how often and how consistent this guy has really become. At 6'7", he's just an absolute shit brick house, or brick shit house, or however you want to say it. It's unbelievable. And just once that first goal went by, after a very stagnant first 2 periods, a first period where they outshot 16-3, floodgates started to open. Victor Olofsson gets the second goal. And, we've been dying for some depth scoring over the past 2 months, scoring that would come from more than just the top line. And then more recently than not, the kids line, the second line of Quinn, Cousins, and JJ Paterka. But the third line contributed too, with Tyson Yost, Rasmus Asplund and Victor Olofsson. They got themselves on the board there. And then right away, the kids line comes in with a beautiful tic-tac-toe play where Quinn finishes it off, one of the hottest hands of the team next to Tage Thompson. Alex Tuck getting in on the fun with the fourth goal. Tage Thompson with an absolute cannon on the power play. And immediately I tweeted, like, when are we going to start having the conversation about Tage Thompson for MVP? I know a lot of people say, we'll have that conversation when this team makes the playoffs. But the reality of it is, like, even if this team doesn't make the playoffs, if this team does continue to make dramatic steps forward, it's not unheard of to see a guy, win MVP and have the team. I mean, it's more likely to not happen than for it to happen. But for a guy whose team doesn't make the playoffs, for a player on that team to get MVP, because he is playing like he's the best player in the world right now. And he's just been so friggin' consistent and just such a game-breaking type player. So I truly do believe this team gets the goaltending, gets consistent goaltending, that we could be looking at them possibly making a playoff berth. And then obviously Peyton Krebs getting in on the action too, a guy who's finally started to come in as of late. Getting his third goal of the season. Just a guy they really needed to get going. And he got a goal scorer's goal, a Jeff Skinner goal, going to the net, finding the puck, when everything else isn't working, that things that you normally do work for you, obviously at below the NHL level. And even last year in some spots where it was working, sometimes you just got to be willing to take a little bit of a beating and get to the front of that and have a puck bounce off you. That's not exactly what happened here with Krebs, but he went to the net, found a loose puck, and buried it. And so that's what you have to do sometimes to get yourselves out of these funks. And that's what he's done. And it's a nice to see, because that is a guy that this team has desperately needed to get going. Not just because he's, a young high-end prospect, but also because he was a big piece of that Jack Eichel trade, one of the, the main pieces of that return. Peyton Krebs, that first-round pick, and Alex Tuck. So we'll go to the peanut gallery here and see what everyone has to say. Let's see. Let's fucking go, boys. Greg Malcolm, always love it when you pop in on the show. I appreciate it, bud. Krister, congrats to Anderson on the shutout. Congrats to the team on getting 6 goals in the third period, and congrats to Duane on a great charity tournament. Was glad to be a part of it. Chris Durick here, guys. I know some of you might know his YouTube channel. Him and his fiance Sarah were such a huge help to me. Chris volunteered as a referee this weekend. And, his wife helped with a lot of the raffles and, some of the organization part, and the big type help in the cleanup, which was a huge cleanup. I don't say cleanup lightly. Like, that was not a easy cleanup at the end of a 2-day tournament where you had almost 300 hockey players hosted at Riverworks. And like I said, 2 teams coming from Canada and Ontario. Like, that was a lot to do with that tournament. And Chris and Sarah really pulled their own weight and helped out a lot. So a couple clicks for them. I appreciate you both. And Mike, John, Josh, Emily, Dan, and, Garrett, Ryan, Adam, Greg Day. You all were such a huge help this weekend for such a special cause. And again, thank you again to Crystal Rodriguez Dabney and Jessica Schreiber for coming and helping, with the anthem and the ceremonial puck drop to make that event so special. And I can't wait to do the second one, because I know with the lessons we learned at the first one, the second one is going to be that much better. So thanks, guys, for helping so much with that. And I hope to have more updates for you by Monday as terms of what we raised and, how we'll be allocating it. So, couple clicks to all of you guys, lots of clicks to all of you guys. Thank you so much. Glad Jerry Sullivan is gone. He's been saying stupid shit for years. It was only a matter of time before he says something like this. Yeah, I mean, again, when you come from that era that he's from, I don't know how old he is, but you're kind of grown up with certain opinions, and unfortunately, for him, maybe fortunately for a lot of people in Buffalo, like me personally, like, it always sucks to see somebody lose their job. I would never wish somebody to lose their job right before Christmas, but with what he said, it was uncalled for and unjust. And, it sucks because, again, it hurt a lot of people in the city of Buffalo, hurt a lot of women's, their feelings. And, we're trying to move the society forward. And unfortunately, when you have mindsets like that, sometimes it just makes it that much harder to move forward. Phoenix co-play, LA goalie. Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate it, bud. Friend of the program. Always cool to see him in the comments. Thanks for giving us the heads up on what that goaltender's name was. I love the first name. Paterka actually finished that tic-tac-toe playoff with Quinn. Oh, was it Paterka? I apologize. It was Paterka because right after that, I even tweeted it out. I'm an idiot. They had a misprint on, or a typo on his goal graphic. It said 77th goal this season, which I found hilarious. It's like, oh, this guy's on pace for like 300 goals this season. Tage Thompson lighting it up lately. Lately, buddy, where have you been? He's been lighting it up all season. We love to see it, though. Love to see it. It was JJ to Quinn, back to JJ. You're right. Yep, Greg, we're right. Everybody here coming correcting me. I love it. Mitz wasn't terrible tonight, but he definitely isn't on my future plans moving forward. Is he in yours? No. And again, Casey Middlestat hasn't pissed me off lately. He really hasn't. He's been a solid contributor, but in terms of making this team better and moving the needle forward, he was an 8th overall pick. As a player who is playing to get the next big contract, I don't know if he's worth what maybe he's going to want. I'm not going to use the word demand, but there's a lot of talent, guys like Matthew Savoy and Yuri Kulik, who one of the two might be ready to make the jump next year. And they're down the middle. There are going to be guys that are going to have to, they're going to become expendable. So I do hope that, I'm not going to sit here and say I hope that Casey Middlestat is gone, but at the same time, like, I do think he'll end up being one of the odd men out when push comes to shove. Craig Anderson with such a phenomenal performance tonight. And one of the things I love about Craig is just his ability to calm this team down. There was a point, I forget what period it was in, but he went and talked to the group. Things were getting out of hand. They were getting outshot. They were getting outchanced. And Craig just went and talked to him, and just things started to slowly turn around after that. And he has such a calming presence. And I love his setup for the goat head jersey. Let's talk about that too, because they will never lose a game in that jersey. They will not lose a game while wearing that logo right there on that skateboarding deck. They will not lose. I promise you. So why don't we just wear it all the time? They're undefeated. Since they brought the goat head back, they are undefeated. So keep wearing it, and you'll keep winning. You heard it here first on I'll Hang Up and Listen with Duane Steinell. But I love Andy. His setup was phenomenal. His helmet was phenomenal, and he was phenomenal tonight. And one of the things I like about him too, in net, goaltending wise, is the intangibles he has and his ability to still play like a hybrid butterfly / stand-up 90s style of goaltender. Even that one glove save he made going side to side, like a lot of goalies would have went down into like a half butterfly or a butterfly in that position. He still found a way to stay partially on his feet and still made like the windmill glove save there. Like, he doesn't always go down when he doesn't feel it's necessary. And he's a big guy. So I love that about his game, man. And he's still, while age might be catching up with him to a certain extent when it comes to certain parts of the game, speed, he knows how to use his size to his advantage and take up as much net as possible. And it was pretty evident tonight. Like, he did that. He was out of his net, challenging the shooter. His anticipation was perfect tonight. His reading the play, moving side to side, sometimes cheating a little bit because he is making that read and he knows that maybe that backdoor pass is coming. Like, everything that could have went right tonight for Craig Anderson went right. And he's just been a very solid piece to this team this year. And hopefully when Eric Comrie gets back, they get that 1-2 punch that they hope they would get to start the season. Because UPL, while he's had some pretty good moments, I just don't think he's ready for a full-time backup role on this team. Just my opinion, and I think many of you agree with it. I'm surprised that Granato put Fitzgerald and Clegg out here in the final minute. Got me worried at first. out there in the final minute. Yeah, as a goalie, maybe Craig was like, "Oh, we're not going to go with Dallas and Sammy." Okay, might have made him a little nervous, but at the same time, that is like Granado showing faith in the kids. Maybe that gave them a little bit of a confidence boost because they struggled a lot while Sammy was out. Now you got Henry Jokiharju out for the foreseeable future. So, those guys are going to have their numbers called and have to be out there sometimes in those situations on a long change, or, maybe they get stuck out there on an icing call and, they're just, it's difficult for them to get, get off the ice. It's nice to see those guys get that opportunity. Maybe it'll be a nice confidence boost because they were able to preserve the shutout. I was also watching the commentators. Make sure you guys don't say shutout because that could absolutely jinx the shutout. Next comment: 3-0 in the goat head and outscoring teams 18-5. Thanks, Greg, bud. I love it. That's gonna be my next tweet. I'm gonna give you some credit. Throw up your Twitter handle up there, and I'll give you the credit. I agree. The Dominator with the Dominator 39 had high hopes for him after the struggle with injuries last year, but he is just running out of time. Hopefully, he can figure his groove out. Hopefully, he can find his groove in his next stop. Are we talking about UPL there, or are we talking about Casey? One of the two. I'm assuming you're talking about Casey. Yeah. If his career is over with in Buffalo for this year, or if it's Olofsson too, he's a guy I can root for on another team. He really is. Not saying it won't work out here. I'm not saying it still won't work out here. But when I look at the youth that's getting ready to come up with this team, the hunger and the passion that's going to come from these young players, especially in a great cultured locker room that we have right now, we've done it the right way. I fully expect, whoever comes up, whether it's Savoy, Kulik, maybe Ryan Johnson does sign, who knows who the next goaltender will be after Andy probably retires after this season. Comrie would be expected to be one of those guys. You would hope that UBL be the other one, but honestly, who knows? You're going to come into a locker room that has an unbelievable leadership group and is, ready to roll and win and make the playoffs. So, their next game is, let me take a look here. Sorry. One second. I don't know why this is being so slow. I apologize, guys. Trying to bring this up right now. Sabres schedule. Next game is Thursday against the Avalanche, defending Stanley Cup champions. Well, we played a great game against them the last time we played them. So after tonight, 6-0 win, carry that momentum against arguably one of the best teams in the league. Defending Stanley Cup champions. You played them well the first time. Let's go right back in and do it again. I just, it's good. You got them, the Coyotes who you lost to, and then you're out on the West Coast against the Golden Knights. Oh yeah, so we're getting ready for the West Coast trip here. Obviously those are always tough. Different time zone. A little bit of an adjustment. The Sabres started off the season on the West Coast and got their season off to a phenomenal start. So you would hope that the same can be said here with this West Coast trip. Hopefully they carry this momentum tonight at home wearing the Goat Head jersey, take that over, into Colorado, get a win or get some points there. And then against the Coyotes, that should be a win. And there's no back-to-backs involved. It's Thursday, Saturday, Monday. So hopefully you come out of these next 3 games with at least 4 points. I think that's definitely the goal. This team is going to be stupid good, calling it in 3 years. The Sabres win the President's Trophy. I mean, I love that. I love that optimism. I love that passion. And I love my favorite handle on YouTube right there, the Dominator 39. Absolutely love it. The Avs have half their roster injured, and Eichel is out too. We absolutely have a chance to beat both teams. Yeah, the Avs have had some injury issues, and they have had their struggles this season. So yeah, I don't see why we can't compete with a team that honestly their roster is going to look a little bit different for them from the first time we played them, without a doubt. So we'll see. I am seeing something here about Alexander Ovechkin. Ovechkin with his 800th goal tonight. He started the night with 798, got his 800th goal. Couple clicks for Ovi. In my opinion, the greatest goal scorer of all time. I know I'm going to take some heat there, but he is absolutely going to break the Great One's all-time goals record. And it's going to be a spectacle to see for sure. A record that many people thought could never be broken. And it will be by Alexander Ovechkin. You heard it here. Not first, but you heard it here. So congratulations to Alexander Ovechkin to cap off another edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen. Congrats, Ovi. He got a hat trick. It was a hat trick. Okay. Never mind. He scored a hat trick. I thought he started the night at 798. Apparently, that was his 798, and then he followed up with 799 and 800 for the hat trick. What a way to do it, too. He becomes, I think, the third player in league history to have 800 goals. He joins Gretzky and Gordie Howe as the only other two. So congratulations to Alexander Ovechkin. Such an exciting hockey player to watch on the ice, and super, super pumped to see him get 800. One of the more passionate players the league has ever seen. So, political views aside, his passion sometimes is almost unmatched on the ice. So, but with that being said, guys, we're getting in here to 11 o'clock hour. I have an early morning tomorrow. I got to drive out to Lake Placid for 6.5 hours for work. So I will bid you all adieu and remind you to go to Outlet Liquor, the best place to buy a case over on George Urban Boulevard. And one last comment here. I love watching Ovi score and break that record soon. Still can't believe he does the same goal almost every time from the left faceoff dot, and still no one can stop him. I know, that guy has an absolute cannon from that spot. That's literally his office. I mean, when you retire Ovechkin's number and you're going to put his number anywhere on the ice in Washington, it's literally from that spot, because he's almost unstoppable from right there. I mean, I would say I would love to see his shooting percentage from that spot if someone could find it. Have a good one, bud. Drive safe. Absolutely. I will not be driving, but I appreciate the safe travels. I have this thing for work, this big division meeting for the next couple of days. I'll be back on Friday. We'll see if I can get an I'll Hang Up and Listen done on Thursday night. Is it Thursday? I can't remember. Thursday, Saturday, Monday are the nights for the game. So yeah, hopefully we'll get something done. We'll see. But just remember, guys, have a good night. Be safe, be well, and unity over everything, love over everything, and respect over everything. I'll hang up and listen, and you guys have a good night.